So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, Canelo Alvarez's trainer Eddie Reynoso says that Terence Bud Crawford isn't as accomplished as Canelo Alvarez. He hasn't done as much, and he hasn't fought the opponents that Canelo has fought. What do I make of that? What do I make of Canelo Alvarez's record accomplishments over Terence Crawford? Yes. For me, Canelo Alvarez is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world over Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford isn't as... Firstly, he's not fought the opponents that Canelo's fought. Canelo's been in the ring with some really great fighters. You know, when you look at his resume, it's on another level. Terence Crawford's a 3-weight world champion. Canelo's a 4-weight world champion. I don't think even if you're a Terence Crawford fan, you can make a case for Terence Crawford being more accomplished than Saul Canelo Alvarez. Listen, I respect Bud Crawford. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a guy that's definitely goes under the radar. People don't give him the respect he deserves. But in terms of what Canelo's achieved in the game, it's unparalleled. I think a lot of people keep talking about how Canelo gets gifts and Canelo gets this, but Canelo worked himself into that position. Canelo really has been fighting top-notch fighters. Now, a lot of people say he fought Callum Smith. Let's not forget, Callum Smith was the ranked number 168-pounder. A lot of people have their certain fighters that they want to fight. They think will beat Canelo. Like, I see a lot of lobbying of Charlo fans want Charlo to fight, Charlo to fight Canelo, or Canelo to fight Charlo, and they keep saying Canelo's ducking Charlo. Why the hell would Canelo duck Charlo? He's fought and beat better fighters. And let me tell all the Charlo fans this, right? If Canelo fights Charlo, Charlo is getting battered in that fight. He's gonna get battered, right? I'm telling you now. A lot of you guys keep going on like Canelo's ducking Charlo when he's fought Lara. He's fought some top names in the game, right? Why is he going to be ducking Charlo? And listen, he'll beat Charlo when they fight. He will beat Charlo, trust me. Canelo has got a granite chin, right? He's a very good boxer. He can fight in many different ways. He's a pound-for-pound fighter for a reason, and for me, Charlo doesn't beat him, and no one in the 160 or 168-pound division beats him. I think the only guy that I would give a slight chance to is Benavidez, because Benavidez is big, strong, he's got fast hands, but he's very inexperienced at the highest level, right? Canelo's an absolute beast, right? Terence Crawford, right now, he's a 3-division world champion. He's accomplished in the 2 divisions he's fought below, but really in the welterweight division, if we're honest, he still hasn't fought Pacquiao, he still hasn't fought Thurman, he still hasn't fought Spence, and we can't say he's the best welterweight out there. Whereas Canelo, for me, I would say he's the best. He was the best when he was at 154. For me, he was the best at 160. For me, he's the best at 168 right now. Whereas I can't say that for Terence Crawford. Because in the welterweight division, I don't know whether he's the best. I don't know whether he beats Pacquiao. I don't know whether he beats Thurman. I don't know whether he beats Spence. He's got to prove himself against those guys. So, for me, the more accomplished fighter is Canelo Alvarez. He deserves the pound for pound spot. That, on top of the fact that he's a way bigger star than Terence Crawford as well. He's a massive star. Terence Crawford doesn't do pay-per-view. It doesn't make that, the money that he makes, we know, is about 4 to 6 million, whereas Canelo's probably making 20 to 30, 35 million a fight. There's levels between these two. Canelo's just better than Terence Crawford, unfortunately, and Crawford fans aren't going to like to hear that, but Canelo is on another level to Crawford right now, financially and a boxing sense. Actually, you know what? Terence Crawford is underrated. His skills are unbelievable. He's great from the orthodox stance. He's great from the southpaw stance. So I will say, as a boxer, Crawford's got a lot of tools in his arsenal. He's got a lot of tools in his toolbox. So he's like a wizard, Crawford. So there's no doubt about it. When it comes for skills, Crawford is up there with Canelo, if not even got more skills. Because Crawford's very, very skilled southpaw, and he can fight southpaw and destroy you in the southpaw stance. He can also come out in the orthodox stance. I remember when he fought Khan, he knew Khan was good against southpaws, but he first came out in the orthodox stance, And then once he gauged Amir Khan's speed, and he actually dropped Amir Khan in the orthodox stance. Once he gauged Amir Khan's speed, he then went into the southpaw stance, and then he really did put a beating on Amir Khan in the southpaw stance, which was quite surprising because Amir Khan normally does great against southpaws. And yes, it was a faded Khan. It was a Khan that wasn't nowhere near his best, wasn't at his best. So again, it's hard to judge. But nevertheless, I was still very impressed by that performance. And then against Kell Brook, the way he didn't start off great, Crawford, there wasn't a lot going on in the fight. But then the way he just landed that beautiful jab hook, whatever you want to call it, and just then destroyed Kell Brook was just an unbelievable performance, really. Out of nowhere, he just, how this guy's just moved up to welterweight and just become a killer. Like his power, like, this man went the distance with Ricky Burns. How the hell is this guy moved up to welterweight and just bashing these, like knocking these guys out? He wasn't even at 135 when he fought Ricky Burns. He wasn't a killer, but he's developed, he's improved as a fighter, and now he's a danger. He's a danger, even power-wise. Do I think he stops Spence? No. I think it'd have to beat him on points, but I think Spence might be a little too big, too strong, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a great matchup. Pacquiao's a great matchup for Crawford as well. But we don't know what Pacquiao's doing now. Thurman, we know he's had a haircut. What's he planning? What's Thurman planning to do? Is Thurman going to fight a Terence Bud Crawford? Listen, these are all fights we want to see. These are all fights that, we need to see Crawford in and see how good Terence Crawford is. Danny Garcia's now out of the picture. He's been beat by Spence. He got beat by Porter. He got beat by Thurman. So Garcia is kind of out of the picture at the minute. But again, Bud Crawford, for me, is a fight that is a fighter that is definitely overlooked. Him and Canelo, for me, are the two best fighters in the world right now. Although Crawford's resume is poor compared to Canelo's, but I still think Crawford, for me, skills and his resume, when you put his skills and resume together, I would definitely have them top two. I put Canelo number one by a distance. I don't think anyone comes close to Canelo. Sorry. Canelo, nobody comes close to him. And even Crawford fans must accept that Canelo Alvarez is the pound for pound number one. There's no doubt about it. He is the pound for pound number one. And Terence Crawford's probably number two. His resume needs to be improved, but he's a 3-division world champion. He's a former undisputed 140-pound champion. That's nothing to sneeze on. And when you add his skills, you have to say he's a quality fighter, Terence Crawford. But again, still a lot to prove. Not done as much as Canelo. I think Canelo this year will become an undisputed 168-pound champion. I do. The guy, when you look at Canelo's achievements and look at the names on his resume, wow. And the names that I believe he's going to put on his resume as well, because I don't see anyone beating him at 160, 168. I think he's going to go through Charlo, he's going to go through Saunders, he's going to go through Benavidez, he's going to go through all of them. In my opinion, like hot knife going through butter. I just believe he's going to beat them all. I'll be honest with you. I don't see anyone as versatile that can fight in different styles, that can adapt, make adjustments like Canelo can in the 160, 168-pound division. The only way I see Canelo losing if he moves up to 175 and fights killers like Beterbiev, Bivol, and I think he beats Bivol. And I think Beterbiev would be a great 50-50 matchup. I think some people think that Beterbiev destroys Canelo. Not me. I don't think anyone destroys Canelo. I think Canelo's a beast. So I would love to see that fight. A lot of people want to see Charlo. I want to see Beterbiev. I want to see Beterbiev fight Canelo. I think that's the only guy even at 175 that can beat Canelo is Beterbiev. And even Beterbiev, right? He's chinny. Beterbiev, he can be hit and hurt. Canelo hasn't shown me that he can be hit and hurt yet. Yeah, he showed me he can be hit and hurt, but he showed me that he's got a granite chin, that it's hard to get this guy down. He's got such a granite chin. Whereas Beterbiev, I've seen him put down by a light heavyweight. And I think Canelo has the punching power, even at that weight, to trouble anybody. So I think that's a future fight that I would love to see. If Canelo cleans out the 168-pound division, I think there will be a clamour for him to fight Arthur Beterbiev, and it's definitely a great fight. It's definitely a fight that we would all want to see, because I just think I think it's a great matchup stylistically. Beterbiev's a killer. He pressures you. He's a bit like, you know, he comes at you, walks you down. That would be hard. If he doesn't respect Canelo's power, then Canelo's in for a long night. But if Canelo can hurt him, which I believe he can, because like I said, I've seen Beterbiev get hurt before, and I think Canelo would destroy the guy that hurt Beterbiev. And listen, styles make fights. Just because one guy hurt him doesn't mean Canelo's gonna hurt him. But the fact is that I just feel that Canelo has a lot to his game, and I think Canelo can dent anybody, even at 175, because Canelo's a big dude and he can punch. He's a good boxer. You know, there's many ways Canelo can beat you. I was so shocked the way Canelo just beat Callum Smith so easy, the way he walked him down and just beat him up. That was an impressive performance by Alvarez. Impressive. But yeah, I think Canelo is definitely, for me, the pound for pound number one. I think Crawford's right behind him. But I think Crawford this year's got to up his game. I think Crawford's going to have to fight the better competition this year, and we'll find out a lot more about Bud Crawford. It's all right you fighting former world champions that aren't at their best with a name, but a lot of people aren't going to give you credit for that. I think Crawford is only going to get credit when he beats a Thurman, and even that he may not get credit. Even Pacquiao is not going to get credit. He needs to fight Errol Spence. That's the only fight where you could probably get a little bit of credit. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for Crawford to get some credit, right? So let's see, man. For me, Canelo's trainer's right. I think he's the pound for pound number one. What do you guys think? Do you think Canelo Alvarez is the pound for pound number one over Terence Crawford, or do you have Terence Bud Crawford ahead of Saul Canelo Alvarez? I don't think you can, just because I think Canelo is a lot more accomplished. His resume is a lot better. He's also a 4-division world champion, you know, and I think he's going to become an undisputed champion at 168. But let's see. But yeah, for me, Canelo pound for pound number one, no question. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.